One of the interesting things about these rats is that they have a little difference in their muscles than what we have, or even the cats that we normally dissect. Let's see, Amanda knows about this actually. She could tell us all about it.
Wait, what?
So one of the interesting things about rodents is they move their jaws differently than we do.
She totally knew that.
No, she did know that. She just doesn't remember that she knows it.
I know.
It's one of the problems that we all have in college, is that sometimes we know more than we think we do, and we just don't have the confidence enough to recognize that. Well, I should say not all of us, because guys usually think they know more than they really do, and have the confidence that their stupidity is correct. Couldn't answer the question about chewing, but well. Anyways, the lower jaw is actually in two pieces, and that way they can move it forward and back as well as side to side. So one of the differences we're going to see is that the digastric muscle is superficial to the mylohyoid in rodents. It's not that way in most other mammals. The other difference, and this is the one I know Amanda knows, is the masseter. The masseter has 3 different muscles in rodents. We have the lateral masseter, the medial masseter, and the superficial masseter. You're not going to have to tell them apart, but the masseter has 3 different portions that, depending on how the animal chews, are differential in their development over evolutionary time. And that was reflected in the structure of their skeleton, particularly the skull. And so one of the things that used to be used to classify rodents was the skull anatomy and the development of the 3 portions of the masseter relative to one another. See, you remember that. And that led to 4 groups of mammals that Amanda's going to tell us what they are. I'm teasing, don't worry. It's not a big deal. But it's all going to be so small you're not going to be able to see that, but it's kind of neat. So right here, as I flip the rat's face over at the moment, we can see something that you felt in yourself in a lecture. Remember when I had you feel the opening of your parotid salivary duct? There it is. There's the parotid salivary duct right there. Coming from our parotid salivary gland, which is sitting right here. Parotid, of course, near the ear, otic capsule, right? All right, so coming on the back of the head here, we don't want to take the ears off. Sorry about that. We're going to just go ahead and take this off right over to the tip of the snout. So we are going to skin around the eyes, but we don't have to skin the eyes. Unfortunately, you're going to take the muscles of facial expression with it. And they do have muscles of facial expression. You don't think of rats as having very expressive faces. They actually do have some facial expressions. And they have to have something, otherwise there'd be nothing for primates to have evolved from, right? Mammals had to have, in general, muscles of facial expression for our group to have such well-developed muscles. So here's the top of the skull, and you can even see through it into the cerebrum, which is kind of nice. See the line right here between the right and left cerebral hemispheres. And right along here, let's just clean that up a little better. We're going to have one of the muscles of mastication that's homologous to the adductor mandibuli of the shark, which of course is going to be your temporalis. Colleen, you want to be careful on these forceps. It seems like the tine is sticking through the hole on the forceps and can stab you in the finger.
Yeah, that's been happening to me, so I've just like tried to avoid it.
Yep, that's probably the best thing to do. But right here, temporalis, we really can't clean that up more because of the way it fuses. Here's our parotid salivary gland. Now the next thing we're going to do is remove these salivary glands. It's a shame, but they're blocking everything, so we have to break them up. Now you'll notice these salivary glands have a very lobulated-like appearance to them. That's going to be typical for a gland. They're described as having a corned beef-like appearance. Same is true for the pancreas and all that. In fact, you've probably already seen that, Ethan, right? When you're human anatomy, I think they're on that right now. And so, yeah. So you gotta be careful in here because right in here is our external jugular. We don't want to lose that. And a branch of it's going to go onto the salivary gland. Now this particular salivary gland is not the parotid because we're below the mandible. This is called the submandibular, which is kind of a giveaway from its location. But you notice how it breaks up like that. That's going to be very common for large glands. We're going to see that when we get into the visceral later. Large glands will be broken up into lobes and lobules, which gives that kind of granular look to it, which is why they describe it as looking a little like corned beef. Let's see. Right here I can see the external jugular. So what I'm doing is following it along as I'm breaking away the submandibular so that you're not going to take the jugular up with the submandibular by mistake. That would be a bit of a problem. Okay, we can begin to see some things in here. It looks like the neck was damaged on the muscles when they opened it up. Let's just make sure about that. It happens sometimes. I think actually it might be okay. No, it's all right. So right here, this little rat is all twisted as if it's never been crucified. We have really dark pair of muscles right here under the chin. Those are the digastrics. Now again, normally the digastric is deep to the myelohyoid. For our rat, we're going to have to cut through one digastric to show the myelohyoid. But there they are. Then in here, again, this guy's just kind of weird and twisted. This muscle I'm holding up right here is the sternomastoid. And then here, along the midline, we have a pair of muscles running from the sternum to the hyoid. Those are the sternohyoids. We've got a little fascia on there still, which makes it a little hard to see everything. Also, that little arm doesn't help, so when you do this, you may want to tie the arms back. Especially if you have a rat like this one that's a little twisted. But now on this side, we can see our sternomastoid, sternohyoids. Then getting in here off to the side, we have one of our trapezius muscles, right? And of course, that trapezius muscle is going to be the clavotrapezius, which we have right here alongside the external jugular. Okay? So that